Hello and welcome to another episode of On Board with Cruise Passenger. I'm Rose Kelly, your host.
And I'm Peter Lynch, Editor-in-Chief of cruisepassenger.com.au and Cruise and Travel Luxury magazine.
Okay, now Peter, is it just me or is everyone talking these days about redefining luxury?
Well, as you can see, I've dressed for the part, Rose. It's not just you. Luxury redefined does seem to be a bit of a buzz phrase lately across travel in general, but also especially in the cruise industry.
And this week is the week of Cruise Lines International Association. It has redefined luxury
Why
this
not?
week as part of Cruise Month. So,
Yes, that's right.
yeah.
We've had ocean, we've had river, we've had adventure, and now luxury.
It is our favourite topic, I have to admit.
We may as well. We may as well
All
be
right,
honest.
kind of had to go there eventually. And now luxury cruising has certainly been very, very popular. Remember the world voyage that sold out in 3 hours?
Yes, I do. And some cruise lines are selling 2027 already. We spoke to one a few weeks ago where all the suites on an epic journey, we're talking $390,000 a suite, already sold out. Gone. Pop. Too late.
It's insanity. Okay, so I have a hunch that the pandemic did shake things up in terms of people redefining, what matters to them in life today. And we've all had that gift of desperation, as some people call it, to just stop, reassess what actually matters to us. And it turns out travel is one of those things.
Number one. And now the pandemic has passed.
Yeah.
We can start to rethink what brings us joy. I know that for many of our listeners, any cruise at all brings a great amount of joy. But with so many cruise lines now claiming to offer the best in luxury, it begs the question, what is it? And what is it worth?
Is there such a thing as an oversaturation of luxury?
Well,
apparently there is,
yes.
right? A lot of people are claiming it. So we're here to kind of set the record straight. And in fact, today we're going to hear from one of the cruise industry's oldest and more revered luxury cruise lines, Crystal Cruises. They are the winner of more than 20 awards. So, they actually do have the awards to stake claim for this. And we're talking to them about what luxury means to them. But I do feel as though we're opening a bit of a Pandora's box here, Peter.
I know exactly what you mean, Rose. Luxury is actually very personal.
Okay, so, for all of you at home, whether you're listening to this podcast, what do you think of luxury? You could reply in the comments section if you like, wherever you're listening to this. And I actually really want to hear from people individually because that's the thing. Luxury now is an individual thing. And we will republish your thoughts. I can tell you, we're taking your comments quite seriously.
Yes, we really love to hear your views. Both of us have been really privileged, Rose and I, to try a few trips on, luxury ships. And much as we love to disagree on many things,
we don't.
It's true that my priorities in a luxury cruise are very different to yours.
It's true, but that's because we live slightly different lifestyles, Peter. I mean,
Really?
yeah, I know. For those, I know you're such a single mum, right? So, look,
True.
let's just point this out. Luxury does play a large part in, what your day-to-day life looks like. So, Peter, I don't know. Why don't you tell us a bit about yours?
Well, great question. I remember many years ago at breakfast being greeted on one ship by a cart and a cheery waitress in full evening dress offering me champagne and caviar on blinis. Breakfast, remember? Breakfast. Remember Kellogg's? And on another, the crew in full uniform serve caviar and lobster while standing in the water in full uniform with drinks and food on an upturned surfboard so you can swim right up and have your fill.
Ah, yes, the caviar in the surf. Who could forget that moment? I've heard about this one many times.
Conspicuous luxury. But nowadays, I think the luxury of having wonderful adventures unhindered by crowds and just knowing I can do what I want, have what I want when I want it, is enough.
freedom.
The luxury of time to truly enjoy life. And perhaps because the world is now such a crowded place, the luxury of seeing wonderful things at my own pace, without hordes of fellow travelers, without being pushed along, is a luxury.
And
What do you think?
and perhaps a beautiful waitress there with some
No,
caviar
no,
as
on my own. That's what I said.
All right, it's very philosophical, Peter. And I'm right there with you. I hear you loud and clear. But I'm going to tell you what luxury looks like to me.
Excellent.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to
Just,
this.
go with me on this. So, listeners, close your eyes. Let me take you on a sensory journey. First, I will remind you that I am a single mum and I'm living a very busy life in the heart of Sydney. So, this definitely has an influence on my definition of luxury. But it begins, of course, with a sleep in, preferably in a suite that boasts a bed with that direct view out over my balcony window that, shows the shoreline of somewhere exotic and remote as a destination. No crowds. No onlookers staring straight in at me as I, don my soft, fluffy white slippers and robe.
Fluffy white slippers, right? Definitely luxury. Note that.
Yeah. Compulsory. And then my butler arrives
Of course.
with, a champagne breakfast for the balcony. Actually, I don't drink, but for the sake of the story, go with me on this. Now, I'm going to take my time because I do mention time a lot in my definition of luxury. To enjoy a personally prepared, freshly baked meal that uses all the freshest, locally sourced ingredients. I'm very mindful of having a positive footprint on the planet, supporting local regions and communities wherever I go.
Fabulous. And where are we, Rose?
Well, I'm just going to say anywhere exotic like the Amazon River.
The Amazon.
Lush jungle, unexplored frontiers of
Nice.
wildlife and dense where no one can reach me, including my children.
Piranha fish.
You're with me, right? It's remote.
I'm with the piranha
But then I'm
fish.
going to start my day with a wellness routine like Pilates or yoga where
Lovely.
I at least pretend to do something wearing active wear that makes me feel like I'm being fit and fabulous. And then we're off to explore the destination we are in with a guided shore excursion with a very attractive guide who takes me somewhere, and he has immense local knowledge to an exclusive experience where I get to stop and absorb the cultures and give something back, which, it makes me feel like I am leaving that positive footprint we mentioned. I feel truly immersed in this landscape, and I know that I'm meeting locals, supporting a local school perhaps, boosting relationships, bonding with local women and buying their beautiful jewellery that my friends will be jealous of. And then, these excursions, they're so fascinating for us visitors. I'm going to take some sort of amazing photographs that will get me thousands of reviews online. And I'm getting sidetracked, I know. But
Yep.
okay. But what I'm saying is that, it makes me feel warm and fuzzy, and it is remote, and it is about feeling special, and it is about a sense of escapism, I suppose.
I think in all of that story, Rose, excellent story, if I may say.
Thank you.
Except the fluffy slippers. But
I did all of this in my fluffy slippers, I should say. Yeah.
But really importantly, giving back, local community, culture, authentic.
Yeah.
All of those have become, I think, the very modern definitions
That's
of
true.
what luxury travel is. And I think providing happy memories, this is exactly what people are now looking for. They're asking for themselves. What does this mean for my life? Will it be
true.
life-changing? Will I always remember it?
Travel isn't just about taking anymore. Travel is about interacting and giving. That's actually that feel-good factor that money can't buy. And I do need to say I haven't finished my story yet because then we get back on board for an afternoon of a deep tissue massage, time to the spa or the pool on board the top deck, a great book, some time to escape, more time to escape, and a chat with fellow passengers to compare stories, right?
All sounds very alluring.
Connection and making friends on board. And then by evening, it's
My gosh, what a day.
I love my stories. I get carried away. But as, Peter, you're invited. We get to, connect over a sunset canapé and watch the world go by, and a spectacular meal. The cuisine is extraordinary. A world-leading chef
Of course.
thrown in there somewhere. Nobu, perhaps. Name dropping. Here we go. But ultimately, I feel special. I feel seen. I feel like I'm one of few. There's that rarity
Yep.
that comes in with luxury these days. I'm not just a number. Um, and I've left a positive impact. So that's my day. That's pure luxury to
And
me.
not at all bad, Rose. And I
Thank you.
must say, I think you've done a great job of defining what would be a very modern luxury
I
experience.
think maybe a handful of our listeners would put their hand up and agree with my definition.
If not all of them. You painted a picture that we both see as luxury. Time to have a quick look at what the top companies of the world are describing as luxury right now. In fact, more brands are invading the luxury space and claiming they are 6-star, a rating that doesn't even exist,
You're so right,
than
Peter.
ever before.
It is. I think it's hilarious
It
how
is.
many companies are claiming this next level of luxury, but we've done our research as we do here at Cruise Passenger, and it turns out there are the 5 C's
The
that
5 C's.
ultimately define what luxury travel
Not
looks
5
like.
oceans, 5 C's.
The 5 C's. Now those 5 C's are culture,
Yep.
cuisine,
Excellent.
community,
Yep.
content,
Yep.
and customization.
Yep. I think the last 2 you can change probably to what you see and
Ha.
personal experience.
Aha. I want to add
Outside
another
of
one.
marketing speak, that is.
Very good, Peter, but I do think there's another C that hasn't
Okay.
been thrown in yet. We're going to add this one: cost.
Cost. Well, that's a really interesting point. So is it about money or can luxury be bought? Now, I was going to say the word that luxury lines never use, cheap. But I'm not going to use that word because, the other area is value. The important part about this whole equation is about value. And what people are finding now, particularly as prices change around the world, particularly, for instance, in hotels and land tours, is that luxury, particularly in the cruise space, is incredible value. And that is a surprise to so many people.
I think there absolutely is room for affordable luxury in today's world and
Yes.
and in the cruise world as well. But, again, there is a difference between welcome aboard, here's your glass of Jacob's Creek versus here's your glass of Cristal champagne.
Cristal, I love it. Undeniably excellent. Very true.
So let's take a quick glance across some of those leading luxury cruise lines of today and see what they are placing their emphasis on as their point of luxury.
A really good point. So if you look at a model used so much now in terms of upper premium, then a lot of what they do is based on value. Viking, Oceania.
With the thinking man,
Yes.
the Viking.
But also based on a value proposition, which is all included, wine, beer with your dinner, entertainment, and a lot of art and books and a lot of the things you'd expect to find.
Also, though, in terms of the art, the culture, the food, and those luxurious surroundings, equally so the Regent model.
Well, it's a step up. The Regent model, of course, is different based on culture, art, food, and luxurious surroundings. But the art would certainly be different because we're talking Chagall, Picasso, what can I say? A completely different level of luxury.
It's true. It is true.
And then the Oceania model, which is based on food. And again, even though they're an upper premium brand, I think they're a luxury brand.
And as we know, so many cruisers are actually saying that cuisine is one of the most important reasons they book a cruise.
And there's no doubt Oceania has got that down pat. They have cooking schools. Their food is excellent. They have specialty restaurants.
They know they're onto
They
something.
know exactly what they're doing.
They do indeed. Now let's talk about the Penant model. Okay,
Yes.
so as we know, Penant, this is all about the French flair, which automatically gives you that
Love it.
je ne sais quoi.
Absolutely.
But they also specialise in luxurious adventure.
Yes,
and they do it very well.
and that's the whole point. So, to give you an example, for instance, we were in the Kimberley, and they have this little game. You're going along to the Montgomery Falls, and there is this zodiac with people saying, "Help! Help! 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 Help!" And so, I know, I was suckered, and so we, of course, our zodiac driver says, "I must go and help. Let's zoom over there," and
To
they
the
zoom
rescue.
over, and
Yep.
before you know it, they open a box, and the champagne is out, and
Ooh
you're
la la.
you're drinking Charles Heidsieck in this amazing place with this absolutely staggering. The rocks are
Yeah.
2 billion years old,
I'd happily fall for that
and we
ruse
and
anytime.
and we
Yeah.
did. So there's that combination of luxury and fabulous position that
It's brilliant.
really, really is quite
I
clever.
love the way you just took us there on that. That was beautiful, Peter. Okay, so really, brands can be synonymous with certain styles of luxury, and
Yes.
and it's not just cruise lines. Brands in general have had a very long-standing history of being associated with luxury. So let's talk, for example, now this one crosses both boundaries of cruise and fashion. Did you know that Penant and Gucci have a particular relationship? You do know this.
I do know. I mean, it's very interesting because the Artemis, who owns Penant, also owns Gucci and
Mm,
also owns some fantastic wine brands.
mm.
They're a very, very interesting mix of brands. And of course, the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Group is currently testing their fabulous yachts to see whether they can get into the
And
luxury
that's
yacht field.
that's going to be very interesting, a space to watch.
Mm.
Hotels and
Yeah,
cruising.
Four Seasons coming along very shortly.
That's the next big thing. But okay, I do suspect we've just hit the tip of the iceberg in this domain, Peter, where cruise lines are collaborating with luxury brands and hotels, as was just mentioned, to create that more immersive travel experience for their guests. So, especially hotels for travellers who wish to combine a land stay with their cruise holidays, and Aussies
Mm.
in particular are keen on that, maximising their time
Yeah.
away from home. So, what really brings us that idea of legacy brands that are just known as luxury. Um, have a think about certain brands that are synonymous with luxury. So Rolex for watches, Chanel number 5
Yep.
for perfume.
Tiffany for jewelry, Rolls Royce for cars. Yep.
Yep,
We've
yep. We're naming them all. I mean, they're the obvious ones. So we're very pleased today to be speaking with a man who knows talking about luxury. Tony Archbold, a friend of ours and the VP of sales for Asia Pacific region for Crystal Cruises. Of course, one of the most revered brands known for luxury, even though it only has 2 ships.
amazing. Crystal has a huge legacy of awards. Founded 36 years ago by a Japanese shipping company. I had no idea. But yes, recently acquired by Abercrombie and Kent, the luxury land travel group.
Welcome, Tony. I believe you may have just flown home to Melbourne from Monaco. Well, that certainly does sound luxurious, doesn't
Sounds
it? Monaco,
fabulous.
not necessarily Melbourne. But
Yes,
welcome back and thank you for your time today.
absolutely my pleasure. It's good to see you both. It's been a while. And yes, I just got back in from Monaco. Actually flew out of Nice. Enjoyed a couple of days in the French Riviera.
Ah,
Oh, my
Yes,
goodness.
so talking luxury, it doesn't get much more luxurious than that beautiful
Now,
time of the year to be there
no
too. So
pressure, but as you would have just heard, the topic of luxury is now such a highly rated commodity. It's like everyone's talking about the new version of
Yep.
luxury. And when we talk about Crystal Cruises, we know it is synonymous with the concept of luxury. I mean, that's a pretty hard task to maintain, I can say. But in your own words, how would you describe this for our listeners? What does this look like?
we actually don't use the word luxury when we're talking about ourselves.
Ah,
Mm,
The word luxury is such a broad definition that it is something different for everybody. So we talk about ourselves as being exceptional.
mm,
Exceptional at sea is our tagline. So we talk about it when we're talking about being in the luxury market, and obviously you've got to use it because that's what people understand. But when referring to ourselves, we don't use it. We want to set ourselves apart from what is usually looked at as luxury.
mm.
Um, But I think luxury, in the end, it is such a personal thing
Yeah.
because everybody sees
Yes.
what is luxury is different. Whether it's somebody makes my bed and cooks me breakfast in the morning,
Mm.
through to some amazing experiences in the back in back of Africa,
Yeah.
or just incredibly personalised, exclusive service. It's going to be different to everybody, depending on what your normal way of life is, and what your normal expectations are in life.
What your
But luxury is
personal
normally
values
exceeding
are.
that which is
Yeah.
normal.
That's right.
Uh,
But then
That's
love,
acknowledging as well that that in itself is constantly evolving.
absolutely.
it
I think
is.
one of the big things we've seen in marketing over the last 10 years is the growing descriptions about people groups. We call them personas. How
Mm.
do you describe a certain market set? And if you go back 10 years ago, there'd be a handful of them. And now there seems to be one for every individual.
Yeah.
So there's hundreds of
That is
them.
so
And
true.
so the challenge for us is to be able to say, these are the market sets, these are the personas, these are the types of people that we're after.
Mm.
Will it suit everybody? Not necessarily, but you try to be as broad as you can while still delivering the level of service that you
Gosh,
desire that
it's a
exceeds it.
hard task. It's a hard task.
It
How do you
is.
It
maintain that? For one
changes.
person, luxury is abundance. For another, luxury is simplicity. I mean, one
Yeah.
person I think of when I think of the phrase luxury is Peter.
So true.
I mean,
Everything Peter does is
Abundance.
luxury. Yeah.
what's simplicity? Like Chanel.
Simplicity.
Like
Absolutely.
Chanel, it's just it's less is more.
Yeah,
I
But
love it.
it is.
But look, Tony, the interesting part about Crystal is, of course, you've now got this fabulous relationship with Abercrombie and Kent Group, who acquired Crystal and now works in partnership with Crystal. They also have some great brands. And of
mm,
course, let's not forget, I mean, let's not be too bashful. Crystal has won more than 20 awards for
Mm.
its superb service, for its food. So, I mean, yes, absolutely. Let's not use the word luxury because I think that's really a really good and appropriate way to tackle this. But
mm.
but it is an award winner and it is standout and, as you say, exceptional.
It is. And I think Crystal has been around for 34 years old,
Yeah.
and it has won more awards than any other cruise line.
Wow.
So it is incredibly award winning, to use that phrase. Uh, and we were very fortunate. Unfortunately, the Crystal brand went through a change about 3 years ago,
Mm,
but it was such a fortunate change in that Abercrombie and Kent, who'd been around for 60 plus years and is synonymous with luxury
mm,
land excursions, land tours, land safaris, um, saw an opportunity and purchased the brand and our two ships,
mm.
and in the spirit of 1 year, reinvented Crystal and relaunched it,
I love that.
keeping the essence of the old Crystal
Yeah.
that our guests have loved for many, many years, and just tweaking little bits here and there,
Yeah.
and having a vision for the future to really evolve
Even
the brand.
even a brand that stands strong on the word legacy
Mhm.
still recognizes that need to continue with the evolution and to
Absolutely.
maintain a connection with modern day versions of what is the extraordinary or the exceptional.
And the point about this union is that it puts you ahead of the curve because two things. One is Crystal's had two ships for its 30-year odd career.
Mm.
Mhm.
And gosh, they're fantastic and have served well. But now
Beautiful.
there are new ships on the horizon thanks to
Correct.
your association and reinvestment. And that's going to be very, very exciting. And on top of that, the whole cruise industry, particularly the luxury end of the cruise industry, is moving into this combination of land and sea.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Yeah.
a seamless version of a journey that really takes longer, pauses longer, and takes you to different areas. And really, that union between Crystal and Abercrombie and Kent is going to pay enormous dividends, both for you and the traveller, because travellers will now be able to combine that experience under one brand, and that's really exciting.
Mm.
It is incredibly exciting, and I think we can actually put our hand up and say the industry is following us.
Yeah,
They
you
see
can.
what we're about to do, what we are in the middle of
That
doing.
must feel
Yes.
good.
Well, it's nice to be at the front of the pack, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
But because we you bring together the best at sea and the best on land, bring that together, and the opportunities are endless.
Yeah.
And we're only scratching the surface at the moment, and we'll see over the next few years this evolution take place
Mm.
as we bring together these two mighty powers and great brands with great histories to deliver something that is, well, hasn't actually been seen in the market as yet.
Yes.
I think one of the great opportunities is there is to not just talk about a land holiday or a cruising holiday, because let's face it, the public don't talk in those areas really. They talk
Mm.
about going on a holiday.
Yeah.
So really it's about a journey. It's about an opportunity to combine both, not to be hindered by a border or a coastline, but to be able to cross over from land to sea seamlessly.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's
Beautifully
the
said.
aim for us.
I
And
think
that's where
that'll
Yeah.
be
we'll go
very
to.
important. Now, I've been fortunate enough to
Yes.
visit Crystal ships.
We have
I think
had
I've
dinner
been on.
together, haven't we?
I think that's right.
I'm not
and
jealous at all, really, Peter. Just saying.
and one of our writers, Teresa Wee, has cruised a
Yeah.
couple of times on your ships. And
Yes.
talking to her earlier about Crystal, and I said I was going to be talking to you, her overwhelming memory is the service.
Mm.
From the
Yeah.
wait staff to the butlers. Her words were attentive, individual, understated, but always there when you needed them. And I know that she will forgive me when I say that the dance partner on Serenity was someone she felt went above and beyond.
That's so
Yeah, look,
beautifully
Dance
said.
partners, I love that.
yes, our ambassador hosts, as they're known.
Yes.
Yeah, look, you can't deliver luxury without a great team that
Yeah.
understands what service is about.
Mm.
In the end, luxury isn't about an object; it's about an experience. And you have to have the right people to deliver that. You can have the most amazing physical space and visit the most incredible places, but unless you've got somebody that is making life exceptional for you, it just misses a big piece. And I think one of the areas that really sets Crystal apart is that we're not just about the ship. We're not just about the culinary. We're not just about the entertainment or just about the service. It's about getting that combination of all of those things together to
Mm.
deliver them as a single package.
And to deliver
Yeah,
that in a form that comes across as a personal connection.
incredibly so. I think one of the great benefits that Crystal has is that when we came back into action,
Yeah.
85+% of our crew came back. And we're talking about a crew that has 10, 15, 25, 30 years experience. In fact, the hotel director on the Symphony that I just got off,
Mm.
Herbert, has been with the company for 34 years. He was actually in the dock
Wow.
as they built the original Crystal Harmony, so the
That's
very first ship,
Wow.
and
Now
is
look,
still with us. And
yeah.
he got off in Monaco and was replaced by Joseph, who replaced him when the ship came out of dry dock in the very first Harmony. So these two have been with us for 34,
So
30
he's the
plus
love
years.
child.
Look, just so
Yeah.
that just so that our listeners don't understand just how momentous this story is, Tony. What we're talking about here is that the line had a hiatus in which it was not sailing because for various circumstances involving the company, and so these people were let go. And then when the line restarted, they all quit the jobs they had,
Jumped
they had,
ship, you would say.
jumped ship. Thank you,
Yes.
Rose. And returned to
Straight back.
Crystal.
Yeah.
After all
It-
of that, they returned to
it-
Crystal.
it
And
was
you
That
no-
speaks volumes.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just an amazing story, really
Mm.
amazing.
It is. And the reason they did that is because they're family.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we've seen so many of our staff members start as wait staff, as room attendants, and then become heads of divisions, hotel maitre d's, and really see a career progression. And I know other brands, and I worked for one that
Mm.
had Crystal staff employed during the hiatus. And as soon as we knew Crystal was coming back, we knew we were going to lose those staff because we knew that they only wanted to be one place, and that was Crystal.
Yeah.
And you feel it when you're on board. You
Yeah.
Well,
see
you
this
can't buy
intuitiveness
cannot
that just comes
buy
from experience.
loyalty,
Mm,
whether it be within the crew or
yeah,
within the clientele that, once you sail with Crystal, you don't sail with anyone
And
else.
again,
exactly right.
again, that's another important
Mm.
point because just as the crew returned, the clientele returned
Oh,
Mm.
because the crew returned. That's
so
the bond that they
Yeah.
had together,
so close. So I
which
was
is
on board
amazing.
the inaugural return to service cruise on the Serenity. I was
Yep.
standing in reception when guests came on board. First of all, you saw the shoulders drop. You
Oh.
heard them say, "I'm home."
Is that when
And
you
I heard
also
that
heard the
say,
champagne bottle pop?
saw it happen time and time again. But the bit that what got me were the tears that flowed by both crew
Oh.
and guests when they hugged each other because
Oh.
they were family and they thought they wouldn't
That's
see each other
amazing.
again.
You're going to make me
And
tear up,
it was
Tony.
really emotional. And I saw it on both. I was on the inaugural for both the
Oh.
Symphony and the Serenity, and to see that happen
Wow.
was just. Then you go, now I know I'm in the right place. Now
Yeah.
I know
But
that
that
the
says
connection between
everything.
crew and
When people
service.
ask about why they cruise, it's not just a form of a holiday. It's
Oh,
a form of, a ship becomes a home to so
yeah.
many people who do
Yeah.
cruise.
I think
And the
that's true.
crew becomes family.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that actually happens with Crystal.
And
Yeah.
just to go back to the topic of this podcast, which is luxury,
Mm-hmm.
there have been many, many new ships built in the 30 years since Crystal
Absolutely.
first ran down the
And
launch
refurbishments
pad.
of old ships.
But
Yeah.
but more
Yeah.
importantly, amazing new modern ships.
Yeah.
And yet, the Crystal guests return to Crystal
That's
because,
right.
as you say, that's home.
A sense
And
of
they know,
familiarity.
and they know
Yeah.
Yeah.
that they're going to get first
Yeah.
class
But,
service.
That's right.
as much as we are talking about how, it's not about a material object or,
Yeah.
you can't
Well,
create
a
luxury.
little bit.
We'll call it spade a spade. Luxury, when you step on board the ship, you know that what you're seeing and experiencing absolutely is 5-star. It is the top of the range.
Yes.
So, I mean, it is worth talking about some of those amenities on board
Sure.
and the
Absolutely.
features
Absolutely.
on board. So,
Excellent.
Yeah.
can we talk about that for just a
We
sec?
certainly can. We
I
certainly
mean, I
can.
do want to just acknowledge that we're not just talking about a restaurant. We're talking about an exclusive Nobu outpost at
Sure.
sea. Like, let's really
Yeah.
just.
Yes.
So when you talk about an experience at sea, the Nobu experience is people go. In
Mm,
fact, it's funny. I've spent a lot of time traveling around Asia. Asia is part of my remit, and I found that the word Nobu is an international language.
oh, yeah.
You've only got to say you can talk to somebody who speaks hardly any English. You go Nobu, and they go, yes. I
The
hadn't found that.
international language of best
and-
food on earth. Yes.
And I've probably eaten at Nobu more than anybody on land. I
Mm.
spent a lot of time at sea early in the year and at the end of last year, and I've probably eaten in Nobu probably 15 times or so.
Wow.
It is a tough job, but
How
somebody
do
does
you go
have to do it.
home and then cook for yourself after doing something
he
like
orders
that? How do
he
you
orders a
do
pizza
that?
like everyone else.
Uber Eats.
I love
Uber Eats
simple when I come
Nobu.
home.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my wife is a very good cook, so
She must
but
be.
we see Nobu has been with the brand for
Mm.
20 plus
Yeah.
years. So when we came back into existence, he came back with us, and that was a great coup for us. Uh, but I wouldn't want to say that Nobu is the be all end all of our experience at sea, our culinary experience. We
Mm.
really have done a lot to grow our culinary presence at sea. We've now got the Osteria di Ovidio, which is our fine
Mm.
Italian restaurant.
Mm.
And one of the great coups that we've just managed is we're just signed an agreement with the Alamo brothers out of Italy. Now, Maximiliano was one of the youngest Michelin star winners, and he's held 3 Michelin stars for 22 consecutive years
Oh,
now.
right. Wow.
And he
Same time as Crystal.
he and his brother
Yeah.
and his team are going to work closely with us in Osteria starting in January, and we're going to start seeing this really fine dining, but simple dining, so that when you come on, you go, wow, this is incredible, but I could eat anything on this menu because it is
Mm.
just so homegrown,
Local
beautifully
produce,
presented,
seasonal
local produce,
produce,
but with an
attention to
Italian
detail. The list is
detail.
endless. Hey,
Sounds
So
lovely.
that's an amazing.
I-
And then you just go into our main dining room, and our main
Mm.
dining room, we change that menu every day.
wow.
So it rotates through. And we have guests who don't eat anywhere else because they
Yeah.
just want to
Yeah.
go back to the main dining room.
And
It's
of course,
white glove,
everything
fine service.
is prepared fresh on board. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
It is exceptional.
with
And
the local produce.
the only things that's there every meal is the creme brulee. Sorry, the creme brulee is always there, and there's a different trifle every day.
A different
A different
trifle
trifle
every
every
Different
day.
day.
trifle. And some of the creations are amazing too. So yeah,
I love that.
but the
Hey,
rest
so
of it's
we've
fantastic.
name dropped a little bit
Yeah,
now and talking about the cuisine, which is fantastic. But one of the things that I find to be, extraordinary on a journey is that one-on-one attention that you receive from
yeah.
having a personalized butler when you're on board. And this is
Oh,
something that Crystal does.
you
Yeah.
And
don't have
these
one
are
at
the
home, Rose?
these are the people I wish, right? I wish. But these are the people that are almost,
Yeah.
unseen, unheard of,
Mm,
they're nameless. Like that is their point of difference. You don't even
yeah.
know they've been sometimes, but whenever you do need something, they're there at the drop of a hat. They're
I
your
I
best
I so
friend
agree.
on
I
board.
always find that. Would you like me to unpack, sir? To be really, would I like him to unpack and
It's when I
see
start
what's in
telling
the?
him about all my emotional baggage that becomes an
You just
issue.
unpacked a few, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, look, I think the butlers, most Australians, when I talk about butlers, most Australians go, "What do I do with a butler?"
So true.
Yes.
But
So
it's amazing.
true.
By the end of the journey, most people go, "Can I take him home with
How
me or
can I
her home
live
with me?"
without a
That's
butler?
right. How could I have I survived this long
That's
without one?
right.
Yes.
But
I
can you
the
answer
beauty.
that question for our listeners? What does a butler do for
So you
those who
you have
haven't
Yeah,
you
experienced it?
take one home with you, right, Tim?
Yeah.
that's right. That's right.
It's kind of like,
I'm careful how I
there's
answer that
nothing they
question.
can't
Um,
do.
yeah. Look,
Yeah.
the I think the secret with a great butler is, as you say, is to be there when you need them and not there when you don't.
Mm,
They really are your personal concierge on board. They're there to make your journey uh, easier,
mm,
simpler, whether it's going to shine your shoes or press your jacket or getting your laundry fixed, whether it's the delivery of your hors d'oeuvres at 3:30, four
mm,
o'clock every afternoon
mm.
because you need more food um, on board.
Can I say
Or
my experience of the best butler I've ever had
uh
was when I was on a cruise and I took my 80-year-old mother with me
yeah,
on a cruise. Now, for mum, the ultimate luxury was coming back to the cabin each afternoon and knowing that the beds were made with
yeah,
this
yeah,
attention to detail with a towel animal and a small note saying, I hope you've had a wonderful day. Regards, Nestor. I remember
yeah.
his name to this day. And for
uh,
my mum, that was the ultimate. Someone had taken the time to make the bed, which is
Fabulous.
something for her that
yeah.
just spoke volumes.
That's what I talked about at the beginning of the conversation. For
Yeah.
some people, that is the epitome of
That is
luxury
it.
Yes.
because it's a
Yeah.
job that I don't have to do.
Yeah.
I think it's also a matter of where do I go to? I need to go to a restaurant tonight. Can you take care of that for me?
Where
Or
should we
we are going
go?
into this port. What do
Mm.
you think I should do? As opposed to having to
Mm.
go to the front desk and
Or
talk to
even, I
room
don't
service
want to
person.
dine in a restaurant this evening.
That's right.
What can
Can I
we
have room
what
service?
can
So
you
the room
bring
Yes.
to
service
us?
on board.
Champagne
Uh,
breakfast. Yeah.
So
yeah,
so much
Yeah.
nicer to ask
coffee.
someone like that than asking Siri or.
And look, room service also on board Crystal.
Mm.
There's a butler in every room type, but in our suites, so aquamarine, our sapphires, our junior penthouse and penthouses, it's room service is served course by course.
Mm.
It's not just a single wheel in drop. See you later when you're finished. It's
And it
here's your entrees, here's your main course.
That's it. And when we talk
Excellent.
about the crew to guest ratio on
Mm,
board,
mm,
I mean, it's not just that I remember the butler's name, but they remember your name.
that's
They
right.
remember your personal
That's right.
preferences.
So one of the great things that happened when A&K bought the Crystal name and the ships was that they actually reduced the capacity on board both the ships. So Crystal Symphony was originally just under a 1,000 berth ship. She's now 606 berths, those berths
Mm.
only. So we took well over 30% of the guest numbers off. We
Wow.
did that by enlarging the size of
That's
many of the
Incredible.
extraordinary.
rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we didn't drop the crew by the same proportionate. So we actually have the best guest to crew ratio in our segment across the fleet. Uh, we also we did the same on Symphony. We took out a whole deck. On Serenity, she was
Mm.
originally 1,100 berths. She's now 740 berths only. So the
Wow.
same thing
That
again.
says
So what
everything,
that
doesn't it?
means is that you've got this great guest to crew ratio,
Yeah.
so that I don't have to rush as a staff member. A crew member. I don't have to go off and take care of the next person. I've got the time to spend with
You
you.
feel valued.
You
Yeah.
feel valued. The other advantage of what we did was that it created space.
Mm.
So with Crystal Serenity, you've got, one guest has effectively, well, is a figure, 94 square meters of space for themselves. Now, that means nothing to most people, but the second best ship at sea is about almost 15% less than that,
Wow.
and it happens to be Crystal Symphony.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
So you get this combination of guest to crew and guest to space.
Yeah.
I've got space. I don't want crowds.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
who in luxury wants crowds? Those two things don't go together. And I get service.
Yeah. That's
So you put that
fantastic.
together, and that is setting the scene for
And it all
an
comes back
exceptional
to what we were
experience.
saying before. It's about feeling special, feeling the attention to detail.
Now, Tony, tell us about 2025. What is in store for
Mm.
Crystal, and what can our readers look forward to
Give
in
us a
terms of
scoop.
in
Yeah.
terms of
Come on.
special offers and
Well,
where
25
will
is
you be going?
Well, I think, as I said, Crystal Symphony is coming into Asia at the beginning of January. She's cruising from Singapore up into, well, she actually starts Asia in India, comes across into Singapore,
Yep.
then we'll go up via Bangkok and through Ho Chi Minh City up to
Mm.
Hong Kong. From Hong Kong, she'll go across through Taiwan, then up into a couple
Wow.
of ports in Japan,
Fabulous
and
route.
then
Big
come down through the
hotspots for
Philippines.
2025.
Yeah.
Yeah, Japan is just pre-COVID. You probably see Japan, Iceland, and Sri Lanka are probably the three of the biggest
Yes.
destinations out there. They've all come back depending on how quickly they've opened. Japan was probably the latter of those to open up,
Mm.
and Sri Lanka, we know, had their own little issues over COVID, on top of COVID. Thankful to say both have opened up really strongly and
Yep.
offer
Mm.
a great
Absolutely.
offering.
Can-
Yep.
So we're actually doing both of those on symphonies during the season.
Yep.
If we kick the ball down to ahead through to 2026, we actually have an extended season
Ooh.
in Japan. We're doing 4 or 5 different cruises around Japan, stopping in some beautiful little island, little spots,
And no
and
doubt,
also
right
including
across
Korea in there as well.
those seasons that
Yep.
are really popular, the blossom
Yeah,
season, the ski
That's
season,
right.
amazing.
That's right. We're there
Fabulous.
cherry blossom
Yep.
season most years. From that season, we'll actually finish it by going across from Japan across to Alaska to start an Alaska season.
Oh,
Oh.
wow.
But bring it back to 25. Serenity will be in start off in the Caribbean before coming across for World Cruise.
Yep.
We'll finish World Cruise and then do a European season
Oh,
as
you're doing
well.
all the hot
Uh,
spots. Yep.
yeah. We also have there's a big Canada and New England season in there too. As far as what the exceptional offers out there at the moment, if you're planning well in advance and can plan more than 12 months in advance,
Mm.
one of the great opportunities we have is that you can actually save up to 20% on the
Wow.
price of the fare if you pay in full.
Wow.
Awesome.
So it's
That
a
will be very appealing to our listeners for
it
sure.
is, and
Yeah.
it's been incredibly popular. There's 2 different types now. You have 10%, which is which is refundable,
Mm.
but at 20%, it's a non-refundable. But it's an amazing how many people have taken it. We're very, very pleased with it. I think people they're planning 2 and 3 years in advance now,
Yeah.
our cruises.
Yeah.
So 12 months is nothing. They definitely know what they're doing in 12 months'
I
time, and they know what they're doing
I
in 24
love
months too.
having that pre-booked adventure in the diary. You get to
Something to look forward
yeah,
to.
and you
The
get to plan for.
anticipation is one of the
Yeah.
biggest
You get
parts about
to
a holiday, isn't it?
name
Yeah.
drop it at every dinner party in the lead up.
Absolutely.
And of course, the other thing is it's all inclusive. So when we're
Yeah.
talking Crystal, we are
Yeah.
talking put your wallet away. It's all
That's right.
included.
I shout everyone a drink when I'm on board. It's easy. It's very easy.
Happy
Yeah.
hour on me. I
Oh,
love that
that's
one.
right. That's right. I'll
Hey,
always pick the bill up on that occasion.
I've got a bit
Yeah.
of a question for you though. Knowing that
Sure.
these destinations you have coming up for 25, 26 are some of the hottest destinations where
Mhm.
people are really keen to get to, how are you going to do your excursions without feeling in amongst the crowds? Like, how do you
Yeah.
navigate that?
One of the great things about being in partnership with Abercrombie and Kent is the evolution that's taking place now and will continue to take place of how we bring them into delivering our shore excursions. Now, it's not happening at all our ports at the moment, but we're seeing that number increase as time goes forward. And wherever A and K are, the aim is for them to do our shore excursions. Now, Abercrombie and Kent are the largest luxury DMC, destination management company in the world.
Yep.
They've got offices in around 60 countries, but are represented in over 100 countries. So there won't be too many countries we go to where they won't be.
Mm.
They're going to be doing not just our shore excursions in these cities, but also on our longer cruises, being able to offer overland tours as well. So get off the
Mm.
ship in one port, go and do an overland tour,
Oh,
and then get
that's
back on in another
so
port.
There it
exciting.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
There's the
whether you're
point of
talking
difference.
Iguazu or the Atacama Desert
Oh,
or a safari in
fantastic.
Africa
Oh, yeah.
or
And of
something
course,
similar in
your
India.
butler will take care of all the luggage. You don't need to worry about any of those
Well,
logistics either.
well,
Brilliant.
if you
Yeah.
do that, you can just take well, not a day bag, but you've been going for 4 days, you only
Yeah.
need to take a smaller bag and go. You don't need to
E-
fully unpack, and when you come back, your
Or
Exactly.
suite will
just
be as you
enjoy the
left it.
shopping
That
on the
is
way.
that is luxury, isn't it? To have
Yeah.
your ship follow you
Yeah.
while you take a safari. A
Mm.
little bit like that, a baggage elephant. It follows you around.
I just need a
it's
toothbrush
and it's
and a credit card to shop.
and your
That
butler.
Well,
Yeah.
that's it. And
on
my
a safari,
butler
you don't
to
even need the
carry the
credit card. So,
bags.
Tony, that's
yeah, look,
a fantastic way to end, if I may say so. That absolutely does sound like the epitome of luxury. And
It really
this
does.
goes out during Clear's Luxury Week, so I think it's the perfect ending. Tony, thank you so much indeed. And of course, our listeners can find out more at cruisepassenger.com.au or indeed at your own website,
crystalcruises.com.
And
crystalcruises.com.
there it is. Thank you so much, Tony. We can't wait to chat with you again next time and hear more about these new excursions.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to do it on board one day.
I
Let's
love
do
it.
it. Let's do
Let's
it.
book that
In
up.
Excellent.
Thank you so
Philippines?
much.
Thank,
Thank you.
Anyway,
Thank you.
Thanks,
Should get your
Rose.
head down now after that flight. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Tony.
See you, bye-bye.
Thanks
Bye.
again. Bye.
Oh, Peter, I've just glanced down at my Rolex watch and I've noticed the time. But if you like what you've been hearing today and you want to join one of these incredible itineraries with Crystal, then we recommend you do contact them, crystalcruises.com, as Tony mentioned, or your local travel advisor to book your next cruise.
You're so right, Rose. And I've just realised I need to put some more money in the parking meter for my Ferrari.
Oh, yes, you can still get booked for that Ferrari, Peter.
But you can view full itineraries at crystalcruises.com. And our new magazine, Cruise and Travel, has loads of fresh content to inspire you also.
Now, while I'm just having my new diamond necklace from Tiffany & Co. cleaned, I'm going to stop by the local newsagent to subscribe at cruisepassenger.com.au/magazine and pick up my new edition. It's just $5 for an edition. How good's that?
Look for more on Crystal Luxury Cruises at cruisepassenger.com.au and sign up for our weekly newsletter to keep in touch with the world of cruising.
A huge thanks again to Tony Archibald of Crystal Cruises. Now, I'm off to light my cigar, and all this talk of cuisine today has made me famished. Perhaps we need to stop by the Fat Duck and have, I don't know, go to Nobu for lunch. What do you think, Peter?
I think it'll be the cafe around the corner and a sandwich myself.
Probably.
Sounds divine. I'll see you there. Thanks for having us.
We'll see
Take
you
care.
next time.
See you
Bye.
next time. Bye.